Hey everyone, welcome back. After more than a decade in practice, I can't tell you how many patients I've seen walk through my door with this exact pattern. And they almost never come in with just one issue. They sit down and they say, Doc, I feel so heavy. I feel like I'm carrying around an extra 10 pounds of water weight. And then I start asking questions. How are you sleeping? And they say, honestly, terrible. I wake up exhausted and then I look at them and I notice, or they pointed out, their hair is thinning. Their hairline is creeping backward, and here's what I've learned over the years. These are not three separate conditions. They are three different fruits growing on the exact same tree. You can pick the fruit all day long, but if you don't dig up the root next year, that tree is going to produce the same fruit all over again. Now, I'm going to tell you about something today that you don't have to spend a fortune on. You can find it at your local health food store or a well-stocked grocery store or online for just a few dollars in the traditional medicine system. It has a nickname, the four-season herb, because you can use it in spring, summer, fall, and winter. It's that ingredient is Poria. You might also see it called Ling. But please don't run out and buy it just yet, because the real power of Poria isn't in the Poria itself. The real power is in how you combine it. It's about the partnership. Today, I'm going to walk you through the key combinations, and more importantly, I'm going to explain the why behind each one so you can actually make a choice that fits you. So first, let's answer this. Why do feeling heavy, sleeping poorly, and losing hair always seem to happen together? Think about this for a second. Have you ever noticed that when you're feeling bloated and puffy, you're also sleeping worse? And when you're sleeping worse, you notice more hair in your brush or in the shower drain. I'm telling you, these three things are not a coincidence. But if you only look at the body in pieces, you will never see the connection. Modern medicine is incredible at specialization. And I want to be clear, I practice modern medicine every single day, but it does tend to break the body into departments. You have a headache. You go to a neurologist, you can't sleep, you get referred to a sleep clinic, you're losing hair, you see a dermatologist. And here's the thing, those three specialists often aren't talking to each other. They're each looking at their own little piece of the puzzle, but traditional medicine, the framework I'm drawing from today, looks at the whole picture. It looks at the connections between your systems. It looks at the state of you as a complete person. So let me map out the chain for you. And I promise this will make sense inside your body. You have a critically important system in this framework. It's called the spleen and stomach system. And I need to be really clear here. When I say spleen, I'm not talking about that little organ on your left side under your ribs, the one that filters blood in this system. The spleen is a whole functional network. It manages digestion, absorption, the breakdown of food, and the metabolism of fluids in your body. You can think of your spleen stomach system as your body's internal drainage and heating system. The drainage part is supposed to move excess water and waste products out of your body. The heating part is supposed to take the food you eat and convert it into energy, what we call chi and blood, and distribute that energy to every single corner of your body. Now, what happens when this system breaks down? Let's walk through it step by step. Consequence number one, the water doesn't drain. If your digestion is weak, the fluids from the food you eat and the water you drink don't get processed properly. They just sit there, they accumulate, and in this framework, we call that dampness. And I don't mean the kind of wet you feel after a shower. I mean something sticky, heavy, and sluggish that infiltrates everywhere. When it settles under your skin, you get puffiness, your face looks swollen in the morning, you get breakouts, your skin looks dull and tired. When it settles in your joints, you feel heavy and achy. Your limbs feel like they're filled with sand. When it settles in your digestive tract, you feel bloated. You get that uncomfortable, full feeling after a small meal. And your stool, sorry to get graphic, becomes soft, sticky, and difficult to flush. The kind that requires extra toilet paper and a second flush. Consequence number two, your energy production drops. And honestly, this is the bigger problem. In this traditional view, the spleen is called the source of chi and blood. That means the raw materials for all your energy and all your nourishment come from the spleen's ability to digest food. When your spleen is weak, you're eating food, but you're not converting it into fuel. You're putting gas in the tank, but the engine isn't igniting it. So your energy production plummets. Now, what is chi and blood? Keep it simple. Think of them as the sum total of your body's energy and nutrients. They circulate through your body, delivered through your blood vessels and your energy channels. When chi and blood are low, your entire body is running on empty. Your heart doesn't get enough nourishment. And in this framework, the heart houses the mind. So when your heart is undernourished, your mind becomes restless. You lie in bed at night and your brain just won't shut down. You're thinking about work, about the kids, about the mortgage, about that awkward conversation you had 3 days ago. You finally fall asleep, but your dreams are vivid and exhausting, and you wake up at the slightest noise. This is what we call heart blood deficiency and restless shen, restless spirit. Your scalp and hair follicles don't get enough nourishment either. There's a famous saying in this tradition, hair is the surplus of blood. That means your body's priority is to send blood to your vital organs first. Your brain, your heart, your liver, your kidneys. Hair is considered a non-essential department. So when your resources are low, your body says, we don't need hair right now, and it stops sending nourishment to the follicles. That's why people with low energy and poor blood quality have hair that's dry, brittle, dull, and falls out in clumps. And your skin, without nourishment, your skin loses its glow. Your face turns pale or sallow, your lips lose their natural pink color. You look in the mirror and feel like you've aged 10 years overnight. You look tired even when you've had a full 8 hours. Do you see it now? The heavy, bloated feeling, the poor sleep, the hair loss. These three things aren't separate. They are the same story. They all trace back to one root, a weak, overworked digestive system, what we call spleen deficiency. When your spleen is weak, it does two bad things at the same time. One, it creates dampness because it can't process fluids properly. Two, it reduces qi and blood because it can't convert food into fuel. Then the dampness and the low energy trigger all the symptoms you're dealing with. It's not three diseases. It's one problem your internal processing center hasn't been taken care of. So why do I say that Poria is the key to fixing this? Let me tell you about Poria. You might not believe this. But Poria isn't a plant, it's a fungus. It grows underground, attached to the roots of pine trees. It's dark brown on the outside and white on the inside. Those white slices you see in the store, that's the inside of the fungus. What's Poria's biggest strength? Two words, it's neutral and gentle. Its nature is neither cold nor hot. It has a mild, almost bland taste. It doesn't have a strong flavor, and that means most people can use it without worrying about side effects. You know how some herbs are too cold and can make you feel chilly and drained, or some herbs are too hot and can give you a sore throat or breakouts. Poria isn't like that. It's a team player. It works well with almost anyone, and it's gentle enough to use year-round. That's why the ancient tradition called it the four-season herb. But what does Poria actually do? Let me break it down into three core skills. Skill number one, drains dampness, and I want to be really precise here. I said drains, not diuretic. I am not talking about a harsh water pill that sends you running to the bathroom every 20 minutes and leaves you feeling depleted. Poria is gentle. It slowly, steadily, quietly guides that excess sticky, unwanted fluid out of your body through your normal metabolic channels. You won't feel like you're constantly peeing. You won't feel dehydrated. What you will notice over time is that you're not waking up with puffy eyes anymore. Your legs don't feel as heavy at the end of the day. That feeling of wearing a damp, heavy blanket, it starts to lift. You just feel lighter. Skill number two, strengthens the spleen. This is actually more important than draining dampness, and here's why. If you just drain the water but don't fix the system, the dampness is going to come right back. It's like bailing water out of a leaky boat without patching the hole. You'll be doing it forever. Poria actually improves the function of your spleen. It helps your digestive system process food and fluids more efficiently. That means your body stops making so much dampness in the first place. You're fixing the problem at the source, and when your spleen function recovers, your qi and blood production recovers too. That's the real root fix. Skill number three, calms the mind. This is the hidden gem, the thing most people don't know about. Poria has a calming effect on your mind and spirit. Have you ever had one of those days where you're just on all day, you're running meetings, taking care of the kids, answering emails, dealing with family drama, your brain is spinning at 100 miles an hour, and then at night you lie down, your body is exhausted, but your brain is still going, you can't turn it off. That's not physical exhaustion, that's your spirit, your shen being overused and unable to settle down. Poria helps bring that scattered energy back home. It helps you settle, relax, and actually get restorative rest. So combine those three, drain the bad stuff, fix the engine, calm the mind. That directly targets the chain we just mapped out. Weak spleen creates dampness, reduces qi and blood, causes poor sleep, hair loss, and dull skin. Poria is the one ingredient that was designed to work on that whole chain. And it's not just ancient folklore. Modern science has studied Poria too. It contains a group of compounds called Poria polysaccharides. Laboratory studies have shown that these compounds can help regulate your immune system and enhance your body's immune response. Some studies have even shown that Poria polysaccharides have anti-tumor effects in the lab. Now, I have to be really clear, these are lab results. Not clinical cures. We can't say that eating poria cures cancer. That would be irresponsible. But it does tell us that poria isn't just magical thinking. It contains legitimate, active compounds that have measurable biological effects. Your body recognizes them and responds. Now, here's the part you really need to pay attention to: three key pairings for your specific concerns. I want to tell you something important. Poria is great on its own. You can steep it as a tea and it'll do some good. But if you really want to unlock its potential, you need to combine it with other ingredients. The real art is in the combination. What's the logic behind this? In traditional medicine, they call it formulation. You take two or more ingredients and you pair them together so they support each other. One ingredient enhances the other. They cover each other's weaknesses. They create a synergy that's greater than the sum of their parts. It's like having a good team. You don't just have one star player, you have people who complement each other. Different combinations are designed for different people. Each pairing targets a specific set of symptoms and a specific underlying pattern. So here's what I want you to do: read through all three and pick the one that sounds most like you. Don't drink all three. Choose the one that fits your situation best. The base dose of Poria is 10 grams. That's about 3 or 4 of those dried slices you get in the store. That's the safe, effective starting point. Pairing number 1, Poria with Longan dried Longan fruit. All right, let's talk about the first pairing. This one is for my mental warriors. The people who use their brains hard all day. I want you to imagine this. You're a professional, you might work in an office, or you might be running a household, which is honestly just as demanding. Your day is a constant stream of meetings, reports, complex decisions, managing other people, worrying about your kids, worrying about your finances, worrying about your parents. Your brain is in overdrive from the moment you wake up until the moment you collapse into bed. And then at the end of the day, you lie down, your body is exhausted, but your brain is on fire. You're thinking about what your boss said in that meeting. You're worrying about that project deadline. You're replaying a conversation with your spouse. You're wondering if your kid is okay at school. You're doing the math on your mortgage, thought after thought, worry after worry. You cannot shut it down. You finally do fall asleep, but your sleep is shallow. You have vivid dreams. You wake up at 2 or 3 in the morning and you can't get back to sleep when the alarm goes off. You feel worse than you did when you went to bed, and during the day you notice your face looks pale, your memory is shot, you forget things you just said yesterday, you can't focus on anything for more than a few minutes. If this sounds like you in this traditional framework, WED call this pattern heart and spleen deficiency, and here's why: overthinking. Constant mental stress and rumination damages 2 organs simultaneously. First, it damages the heart. In this system, the heart is said to house the mind, your thinking, your emotions, your consciousness. All of that is managed by the heart. When you spend all day thinking and worrying, your heart is constantly burning through its blood reserves to support that mental activity. Over time, your heart blood becomes depleted, and when heart blood is low, your mind has no foundation to rest on, so you can't sleep, you can't settle down. Second, overthinking damages the spleen. There's a classic teaching: worry damages the spleen. The 5 emotions correspond to the 5 organs, and worry, that repetitive anxious rumination, directly suppresses your spleen function. Your digestion slows down, your energy production drops, and when your spleen is weak, it can't produce enough blood to replenish the heart. So you get caught in a vicious cycle. You worry, which weakens your spleen, which reduces your blood, which makes your heart weak, which makes you sleep poorly, which makes you worry more the next day. So how does this pairing break that cycle? Poria does what it does best. It strengthens the spleen, drains dampness, and calms the mind. Longan, the dried fruit of the Longan tree, does something different in this system. Longan is used to nourish heart blood and supplement spleen energy. It's sweet, warm, and nourishing. Think of it this way: Poria is working on the foundation, fixing the spleen so it can start producing blood again. And Longan is working on the upper floors, directly replenishing the blood that your heart and brain need right now. One is fixing the supply chain, the other is delivering the goods. They work together, and we know from modern nutritional science that Longan contains glucose, which gives your brain a quick source of energy, and iron, which helps your body produce hemoglobin, the protein that carries oxygen in your blood. That iron supports the production of healthy red blood cells. So the traditional wisdom actually lines up with what we know about nutrition. Here's how you make it. Take 10 grams of Poria, that's about 3 or 4 slices. Take 6 to 8 pieces of dried longan. Longan is the one that looks like a small, dried, brownish fruit. If you're someone who runs hot, if you tend to get canker sores or feel warm easily, you can remove the seed from the longan because the seed is considered warming and drying. Put both ingredients in a small pot with about 600 milliliters. That's roughly 2.5 cups of water. Bring it to a boil, then reduce the heat and let it simmer for 20 minutes. Longan is naturally sweet, so the tea will have a pleasant, mild sweetness. You don't need to add sugar or honey. When should you drink this? I recommend mid-afternoon, around 3 or 4 in the afternoon. By that time, you've already used up a lot of your mental energy for the day. Your blood sugar is dipping, your focus is fading. This is the perfect time to give your brain a little nourishment. Do not drink it right before bed because even though it's calming for the mind, the liquid volume itself might make you wake up in the middle of the night to use the bathroom. And that's the last thing you need. Now, I need to give a very important warning here. If you have a pattern called yin deficiency with fire, you need to be careful. How do you know if that's you? You constantly feel hot in your hands and feet. You get night sweats. You wake up with your pajamas damp. Your mouth and throat feel dry. Your tongue is red and it has very little coating. If that sounds like you, Longan might be too warm for you. It could make your heat symptoms worse. In that case, swap the Longan for 15 grams of dried lily bulb. You'll see it sold as Bai He. Lily bulb is cool and nourishing to the yin. And it's excellent for calming a restless mind. That combination, Poria and lily bulb, is fantastic for people who are anxious, irritable, and have trouble sleeping because of internal heat. What can you expect from this pairing? I'll tell you, a lot of my patients report that after about 2 weeks, the first thing they notice is better sleep. I want to be clear, this is not a sleeping pill. It doesn't knock you out. You won't feel drugged. What you'll feel is that your mind just calms down, the mental chatter quiets, you fall asleep faster, you stay asleep longer, you wake up less often in the middle of the night, and when the alarm goes off, you feel more rested. Then after about a month, another 2 weeks of consistency, a lot of people notice changes in their complexion. The pale, sallow, tired look starts to fade. Your lips look pinker. Your face looks brighter. It's not makeup. It's your blood coming back. Your body is producing more healthy red blood cells, and your skin is showing it now. I have to say everyone is different. Some people recover faster, some slower. This is just a general guideline. Pairing number 2, Poria with Chinese yam, dried yam. This second pairing is for a completely different group of people. Take a look at yourself and see if this sounds familiar. You have a poor appetite. Food just doesn't appeal to you. You take a few bites and you feel full already. When you do eat, you feel bloated and heavy afterward. That uncomfortable, distended feeling in your stomach. Your bowel movements are chronically loose and soft. They're not diarrhea exactly, but they're not formed. They're sticky and require a lot of wiping. And yes, they tend to stick to the toilet bowl. You just don't have any energy. You wake up in the morning feeling exhausted. You don't feel like doing anything. Even simple tasks feel like they require enormous effort. If this is you, there's no mystery here. You have textbook spleen deficiency. Your digestive system is not working properly. Your processing center is sluggish. You're eating food, but you're not extracting the nutrients from it. Your body is essentially undernourished, even if you're eating regular meals. For this pattern, just using Poria for its spleen strengthening effect is helpful, but it's not enough. You need a partner that also provides direct nutritional support to the spleen. That's where Chinese yam or shan yao comes in. You've probably eaten Chinese yam before. It's that long, brown-skinned root vegetable you see in the produce section. It has white, sticky flesh. But for medicinal purposes, the best form is the dried version, specifically dried huaishan, which is a variety grown in a specific region of China. The dried form has a higher concentration of the beneficial compounds. So what does Chinese yam do? Its main job is to nourish the spleen and stomach. It also supports the lungs and kidneys, but for our purposes, the spleen effect is what we care about. Chinese yam contains a lot of starch digesting enzymes like amylase and polyphenol oxidase. These enzymes help break down carbohydrates, which reduces the workload on your digestive system. It also contains mucilage, a sticky gel-like substance that coats and soothes the lining of your stomach. It's protective. Think of it like aloe vera for your digestive tract. This is especially helpful if you have a sensitive stomach or if you've been dealing with acid issues. When you combine Poria and Chinese yam, you're creating a dual approach to fixing your digestion. Poria is working to drain excess dampness and clear the clutter so your spleen can function more efficiently. Chinese yam is providing direct, gentle nutrition to the spleen itself. It's like giving your digestive system a warm, nourishing meal that it can actually use together. They clear the obstacles and rebuild the engine. Once your spleen function starts to recover, you'll notice a cascade of changes. Your appetite improves. Food actually sounds good again. The bloating after meals fades away. Your bowel movements become more regular and well formed, less sticky, less messy. Your energy improves. You don't feel that mid-morning or mid-afternoon crash as intensely. You can get through your day without wanting to take a nap at your desk. Why does this happen? Because your spleen is the manufacturing center for your qi and blood. When it recovers, production goes up, your whole body gets better supply. Here's how you make it. Take 10 grams of Poria, take 15 grams of dried Chinese yam slices. If you can't find dried, you can use fresh Chinese yam, but you'll need to double the amount, so use about 30 grams of fresh. If you're using dried, soak both ingredients in water for about 30 minutes before cooking. Soaking helps the active compounds release more easily. After soaking, put everything, the soaking water and the ingredients, into a pot, bring it to a boil, then reduce the heat and simmer for 25 minutes. If you're using fresh Chinese yam, you don't need to soak it. Peel it. Be careful, the skin can irritate your hands. And slice it into thin rounds. Cook the Poria for about 15 minutes first, then add the fresh yam and simmer for another 10 to 15 minutes. Don't overcook the fresh yam or the tea will become thick and cloudy. The taste of this blend is very mild. It has a subtle, starchy flavor with a slight natural sweetness from the yam. You don't need to add sugar or any flavoring. Just drink it as is. When should you drink this? Morning is the best time. In traditional medicine, the spleen and stomach meridians are most active in the morning, specifically between 7 and 11 o'clock. That's the window when your digestive system is most receptive to nourishment and support. So drinking this in the morning aligns with your body's natural rhythms. Now, I have to give you a few important tips about Chinese yam. First, if you're handling fresh yam, be careful. The skin and the sap contain compounds that can irritate your skin and cause itching or a mild rash. It's a lot like handling raw taro or some types of squash. If you have sensitive skin, I recommend wearing gloves while peeling and slicing. Alternatively, you can steam the whole yam first, skin on, and then peel it after it's cooked. That reduces the irritation, and if you do get itchy, rinsing your hands with diluted vinegar water can help neutralize the irritation. Second, and this is really important, Chinese yam has a binding effect. What does that mean? It means it can help firm up loose stools. That's great if you have diarrhea or soft stools, but if you're already constipated, if your stools are hard, dry, and difficult to pass, you should avoid Chinese yam for now. It could make the constipation worse. Wait until your bowel movements are regular again, and then you can start using it. What can you expect from this pairing if you stick with it for a month? The most noticeable improvement will be in your energy and stamina. You know, that 3 o'clock slump where you just want to put your head down on your desk, that starts to fade. You'll feel like your battery lasts longer. Your appetite will slowly come back. The bloating will decrease. These are all signs that your spleen function is returning. And once your spleen is strong, your qi and blood will naturally follow, and that will eventually help your sleep, your skin, and your hair. It just takes more time. Pairing number 3, Poria with Jujube Dates, red dates. This third pairing is for people who are truly running on empty, people with what we call qi and blood deficiency. Let me paint a picture for you. See if this describes your situation. 1, you feel like you just don't have enough air. You get short of breath easily. You talk quietly because you don't have the energy to project your voice. Climbing a flight of stairs leaves you winded, not in a heart attack way, but in a weak, depleted way. 2, your complexion is off. You're not pink-cheeked. You look pale, or your skin has a dull, sallow, yellowish cast. Not jaundice yellow. I'm not talking about liver disease. I'm talking about that waxy, tired, no color in your cheeks. Look, your lips are pale. If you press on your fingernails, the color returns slowly. 3, for the women in the audience, this is a big clue. Your menstrual periods are light. The flow is scanty. The color is pale pink rather than deep red. Your cycle might be longer than average, 35 days, 40 days, maybe even more. That's a classic sign that your blood reserves are low. 4, your hair is dry, brittle, and falling out. It lacks shine. It breaks easily. You see more hair in the brush and the drain. If you have 3 or more of these, your core issue is qi and blood deficiency. Your energy reserves are depleted. Your body is running on fumes. Now, why use Poria and Jujube Dates together? Poria continues to do its job. It strengthens the spleen and drains dampness. It cleans up the environment so your body can start making fresh blood. Think of it as preparing the ground and fixing the machinery. Jujube Dates, those red, wrinkly, dried fruits, are one of the classic ingredients for building both qi and blood. In this traditional system, jujube has 4 major functions. It tonifies the spleen chi, it supplements the energy of your whole body, it nourishes your blood, and it calms your mind. So what does that mean in practice? Jujube helps your spleen produce more energy, it delivers direct nutrients to your blood, and it has a calming effect that helps with sleep and anxiety. And the science backs this up. Jujube Dates are packed with iron, a critical mineral for making hemoglobin. They also contain significant amounts of vitamin C, which actually increases your body's ability to absorb that iron. So the iron and the vitamin C work together to improve your hemoglobin levels. They also contain a compound called cyclic AMP, which has been shown to improve muscle strength and reduce fatigue. So there's real nutritional logic here. Additionally, some research suggests that the combination of Poria and Jujube has an antioxidant effect. Antioxidants help protect your cells from oxidative damage, the wear and tear that comes from stress, pollution, and aging. So this combination might actually help slow down some of the aging processes at a cellular level for your skin. That means better elasticity, more hydration, and less visible aging. When you combine better blood production with better antioxidant protection, your skin is going to show the benefits. Plus, there's a practical benefit. Taste. Poria alone is very bland. Some people find it hard to drink by itself. Jujube Dates add a natural sweetness to the tea. It tastes like a gentle, comforting, slightly sweet drink. You don't need to add any sugar or artificial sweeteners. It's pleasant to drink, which means you're more likely to actually stick with it. And as I always tell my patients, the best medicine is the one you'll actually take. Compliance matters. Here's how you make it. Take 10 grams of Poria. Take 6 Jujube Dates, and this is non-negotiable. You must remove the pits. Why? Because the pit of the jujube is considered drying and warming. If you leave the pit in, the tea becomes too hot and drying, and it can give you a sore throat, canker sores, or just make you feel overheated. Removing the pit keeps the tea balanced. To remove the pit, just make a slit in the date with a knife and pop the pit out. Put the pitted dates and the Poria in a pot. Add about 500 to 600 milliliters of water. That's 2 to 2.5 cups. Bring it to a boil. Then reduce the heat and simmer for 20 minutes. If you want it a little sweeter, you can add a tiny bit of rock sugar or a small amount of honey. But honestly, the dates are sweet enough on their own. When should you drink this? Morning or early afternoon is best. Jujube Dates are slightly warm in nature, and your body's energy, your yang qi, is rising in the morning. That's the time when your body is most receptive to warming, nourishing supplements. Do not drink this at night. The sweetness and the warming energy can cause some people to feel bloated or restless, which can interfere with sleep. Now, I have to give you some very important warnings about this pairing. First, people with damp heat need to be extremely careful. How do you know if you have damp heat? Look at your tongue. If your tongue is coated with a thick, yellow, greasy looking film, that's damp heat. This means you have dampness, but it's accompanied by heat. Your body is like a wet, humid, warm environment, like a swamp. Jujube Dates are warm and nourishing, and they can actually feed that heat. If you have damp heat and you eat too many dates, you might make your symptoms worse. You might feel more sluggish, more inflamed, and your tongue coating might get even thicker. If that's you, reduce the number of dates to 2 or 3. Or skip the dates entirely and just use Poria by itself. Poria is excellent for draining dampness even on its own. Second, if you have diabetes or any blood sugar control issues, be very careful. Jujube Dates are high in sugar, natural sugar, yes, but sugar nonetheless. They can raise your blood glucose levels. If you're diabetic, if you're pre-diabetic, or if you're just very sensitive to sugar, you need to adjust this recipe. I'd recommend using only 2 or 3 dates per batch. Alternatively, you can skip the dates entirely and use 5 to 8 grams of goji berries instead. Goji berries are also nourishing to the blood, but they have a lower sugar content and they're cooler in nature. They're a good substitute. Third, if you have severe digestive weakness, you might have trouble with the date skins. Date skins are fibrous and tough. If your digestion is really compromised, those skins can be difficult to break down. You might end up feeling bloated or gassy. If that happens, you can peel the dates before cooking. Just remove the skin, remove the pit, and use the soft flesh. Or if that's too much work, you could start with the Poria and yam combination first, pairing number 2, to strengthen your digestion for a few weeks, and then switch to the Poria and date combination for building blood. The order matters. Fix the engine first, then add the fuel. Otherwise, you're just wasting the nutrients. Now, Let me add one more topic that I know a lot of people care about: hair loss. I want to spend a little extra time on this because I know it's a concern for so many of you. When people start losing hair, the first thing they do is go to the store and buy special shampoos, serums, sprays, and a whole shelf full of vitamins. They try biotin, collagen, keratin treatments, and I'm not saying those things don't help. They can provide a little support on the surface, but they're missing the bigger picture. Hair grows from the inside out. The nutrients that feed your hair come from your bloodstream, not from a bottle you apply to your scalp. If your blood is deficient, if your nutrient supply is low, then your hair follicles are starving, no matter how many expensive serums you slather on. There's a saying in this tradition: hair is the surplus of blood. That means your body uses blood to nourish your vital organs. First, your brain, your heart, your lungs, your kidneys. Hair is lower priority, so when your blood reserves are low, your body says, we can't afford to send nutrients to hair right now, and hair growth stalls. Your hair becomes thin, dry, brittle, and starts falling out. Now, if you look at women who've just had a baby, you often see a massive shed a few months after delivery. It's completely normal. It's called postpartum telogen effluvium. Why does it happen? Because pregnancy and childbirth consume enormous amounts of energy and blood. The mother's body gives so much to the baby that her own reserves are depleted. Then, a few months later, that depletion shows up in her hair. It falls out in clumps. And then as her body recovers, as her blood levels come back up, the hair grows back. It's a perfect demonstration of the connection between blood and hair. There's also another saying: the kidney's essence manifests in the hair. In this framework, the kidneys store the deep, fundamental energy, the essence that you inherit from your parents and that you build up over your lifetime. When kidney essence is strong and abundant, your hair is healthy and thick. When kidney essence is depleted, your hair thins and grays. And where does kidney essence come from? It's produced in part from the nutrients you digest through your spleen. Your spleen and stomach break down food, extract the essence from it, and that essence is then stored in the kidneys. So everything ultimately comes back to the spleen. The spleen is the root. Now, the three pairings I just gave you, Poria with Longan, Poria with yam, Poria with dates, they all target the spleen. They all work to strengthen your digestion and build your blood. They approach it from different angles. One calms the mind, one stabilizes the digestion, one directly replenishes blood, but they all eventually feed into the same system. When your blood is healthy and abundant, your hair will reflect that. You don't need to do anything special. Your hair will naturally get the nutrition it needs as a side effect of having a healthier internal environment. Now, I do need to be honest: if your hair loss is caused by genetics, if you have androgenetic alopecia, which is male pattern or female pattern baldness, that's not purely a blood deficiency issue. There's a hormonal component. In that case, you may need additional treatments like topical minoxidil or other interventions. But even if you have genetic hair loss, strengthening your digestion and building your blood is not going to hurt. At the very least, it can slow down the rate of loss and improve the quality of the hair you do have. Now let's talk about what's even more important than the pairings themselves. 4 critical things you absolutely need to keep in mind. I've given you a lot of information, but these 4 points are the most important part of this entire video. Please pay attention. Point number 1, this is a wellness tea, not a medicine. I want to be very clear. The pairings I just described are for people who are generally healthy but have mild imbalances. They're for fatigue, mild insomnia, poor digestion, bloating, and general low energy. They're for helping you go from okay to better. They're for supporting your body while you make lifestyle changes. They are not for treating diagnosed diseases. If you have been diagnosed with severe insomnia that requires prescription sleeping pills, clinically diagnosed anemia with low hemoglobin, you need iron supplementation, maybe even infusions, kidney disease with actual edema, you need medical monitoring and medication, any other diagnosed condition, you need to see your doctor, you need to follow their advice, you need to take your prescribed medications. Do not try to treat a serious disease with a tea. That is dangerous. You could delay getting real treatment while your condition gets worse. I cannot stress this enough. If you are sick, see a doctor. This tea is for wellness, not treatment. Point number 2, your individual constitution matters. Even a gentle herb can be wrong for you. I've been talking about how neutral and gentle Poria is, and it is, but it's not for everyone. And more importantly, the combinations I've given you have different properties. Some are warming, some are cooling, some are more draining. So let me give you a checklist of people who need to be careful. First, people with yin deficiency with fire. I mentioned this earlier. If you're the type of person who always feels hot, whose palms and soles burn, who gets night sweats, whose mouth is dry, whose tongue is red with very little coating, you have what we call yin deficiency with fire. Your body is dehydrated at a deep level. Your cooling fluids, your yin, are low. Poria drains fluids. That's its job. It drains dampness. But if you're already yin deficient, draining more fluids can actually make you worse. It can dry you out further. You can still use Poria, but you need to use a smaller dose and you need to combine it with nourishing yin building ingredients like lily bulb or American ginseng. And you shouldn't drink it every day. You need to listen to your body. If you feel more thirsty or more heated, you're overdoing it. Second, people with a condition called spermatorrhea or excessive seminal loss in men. I know this is an uncomfortable topic, but I have to address it. In this framework, there's a pattern called kidney qi insecurity, where men experience frequent involuntary seminal emissions without sexual stimulation, often during sleep. This is usually associated with weakness in the kidneys holding function. If that's you, Poria's draining, moving nature might be counterproductive. You actually need more astringent holding herbs to help your body retain its essence. Poria could make it worse. Third, people with qi sinking. This is a specific pattern where your internal energy isn't strong enough to hold your organs in place. The typical symptoms include organ prolapse, like stomach prolapse, uterine prolapse, or hemorrhoids. You feel a constant downward pressure. In this case, you need herbs that lift and raise your energy. Poria's draining, downward moving effect could worsen the sinking sensation. So if you have that issue, be very cautious with Poria. So how do you figure out if you have any of these patterns? The honest answer is you need to see a qualified practitioner. Find a licensed acupuncturist or a doctor trained in traditional medicine. Ask them to evaluate your constitution. It's not expensive, it doesn't take a lot of time, and it will save you a ton of trial and error. Don't guess. Point number 3. Don't overdo it. I see this all the time. Someone discovers something good and they go all in. They start drinking the tea 3 times a day, every single day, for weeks on end. And then they come to me and say, Doc, it stopped working. I don't feel any different. That's because your body develops a tolerance. When you take the same thing constantly, your body adapts. The effect diminishes. This is true for almost everything: food, herbs, even exercise. So my recommendation is this: aim for 3 to 4 times a week. That's plenty. Don't drink it every day. Do that for 2 weeks. Then take a break for 2 or 3 days. Give your body a chance to reset, to integrate the changes, and to tell you how it's feeling. Then you can start another cycle. And keep your daily dose of Poria at or below 15 grams. Most people only need 10 grams. More is not better. It's actually worse. Point number 4, special populations need to be extra careful. Let me list them: pregnant women. Do not use any of these pairings during pregnancy unless you have explicit approval from your OB-GYN or midwife. Pregnancy is a very delicate time. Certain herbs that are fine for a regular person can affect uterine tone or fetal development. Even something as gentle as Poria or Jujube should be run by a professional. Don't experiment on your own. Nursing mothers, same rule. It's not about you anymore. Anything you consume passes into your breast milk, and we don't have great data on how these compounds affect a nursing infant, so be safe. Talk to your doctor before using anything. Children, their digestive systems are still developing. They're not just small adults. A dosage that's safe for you could be too strong for a child. So don't give these to your kids unless directed by a pediatrician or a qualified practitioner, people taking prescription diuretics. Poria has a fluid draining effect. If you're already taking a diuretic, combining the two might flush out too much fluid and electrolytes. You could end up with dehydration, low potassium, or other electrolyte imbalances. This is a real risk. So if you're on a water pill, talk to your prescribing doctor before you add Poria. People taking diabetes medication, the Jujube Dates in pairing number 3 have sugar, even though it's a small amount. If you're on insulin or oral hypoglycemics, that extra sugar could affect your blood glucose levels. You might need to adjust your medication. So again, check with your doctor, monitor your blood sugar closely if you decide to try it. And now my final message to you: if you take nothing else away from this video, take this. The core philosophy here is about living in harmony with your body. When the sun rises, you should be active. When the sun sets, you should rest, eat when you're hungry, and stop when you're about 70 to 80% full, not stuffed. Move your body, but don't exhaust it. Take time to relax, to breathe, to let your mind rest. Your body has an incredible built-in system for maintaining balance and health. It's been evolving for millions of years, and most of the time when we have health problems, it's because we've been interfering with that system, staying up too late, eating too much processed food, stressing about things we can't control, living in a state of constant fight or flight. Our job is to get out of the way and let your body do what it knows how to do. What I appreciate so much about Poria is its gentleness. It doesn't force anything, it doesn't shout at your body to change. It's not aggressive or harsh, it simply, quietly, persistently helps your body nudge itself back toward balance. It drains what needs to be drained, it supports what needs to be supported, and it calms what needs to be calmed. It's a very patient, kind, forgiving herb. And I want you to be patient with yourself too. You didn't get tired, bloated, and sleep deprived overnight. You're not going to fix it overnight. Either give yourself a month, choose one of these pairings, the one that felt most like you, and try it 3 or 4 times a week. And at the same time, make some small lifestyle adjustments. Go to bed 30 minutes earlier, take a walk after dinner, put down your phone an hour before bed, let go of some of the unnecessary anxiety and worry. At the end of that month, check in with yourself, notice the changes. Maybe it's small. Maybe your eyelids aren't puffy when you wake up. Maybe your stool is more regular. Maybe you have a little more energy in the afternoon. Maybe your skin looks a bit brighter. Don't dismiss those changes as nothing. Those subtle, quiet shifts are your body communicating with you. It's telling you that you're on the right track. That's the signal you need to keep going. You have the power to improve your health. It's not a magic pill. It's not a quick fix. It's about consistent, gentle, smart choices made over time, and you can do it. I'm here to help you understand the science and the tradition behind these things. I believe in empowering you with knowledge so you can make better decisions for yourself and your family. If you're dealing with any health concerns, please schedule a visit with your primary care doctor. I'm here to help you understand the science, not replace professional medical advice. All right, that's it for today. Let me know in the comments, which of these pairings do you think you'll try? I read the comments and I'd love to hear from you. Stay healthy, stay calm, and I'll see you in the next video.